What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to GA Fan TV. I hope you're all keeping wonderfully well. My name is Aaron, and of course the All-Stars were announced at the weekend. The football team of the year, the hurling team of the year, footballer of the year, hurler of the year, young footballer of the year, and young hurler of the year were all announced, of course, at the weekend. And of course, if you follow this channel quite closely, you'll know obviously I do a lot of news videos, podcasts, and everything else. So if you can hit the like button and subscribe, I kindly appreciate it. And yeah, what I thought I would do is break down the team, have a look at what people are saying, of course, on Twitter and on Instagram, and of course give my thoughts on the football and hurling team of the year as well, because obviously, yeah, look, listen, there were certainly some interesting choices in there. There were some things I would personally change. I do think all in all, though, the football and hurling team of the year was more or less correct, but certainly there were probably one or two things they could change. But look, listen, we're going to get straight into it. So I suppose first of all, what we'll do here is we'll have a look at the Gaelic Football All-Star Team of the Year for 2020. So let's have a look. So this is the team here. So you can see Raymond Gallagher in goal. The full-back line was Oisin Mullen, Padraig Faulkner and Michael Fitzsimons. The half-back line, James McCarthy, John Small and Owen Merchant. Midfield, Brian Fenton and Thomas Gallagher. And then the half-forward line, Niall Scully, Kieran Kilkenny, Con O'Callaghan, and then the full forward line, Killian O'Connor, Connor Sweeney and Dean Rock. So you had 2 Mayo players in there, you had 1 Tipperary player, 3 Cavan players, and we had in total, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Dublin players in total. So look, listen, I think, there certainly were a lot of talking points. I know a lot of people were saying, maybe Stephen Cluxton should have got ahead of Raymond Gallagher. Obviously, David Clark was in the discussion as well. And obviously, I did make a video, a couple of months ago looking at my football team of the year. I might even display it on screen right now so you lads can have a look in a couple of moments. But yeah, I had Raymond Gallagher in there, in my opinion. I think Stephen Cluxton, yes, he didn't concede a goal. Yes, he had a fantastic season. But I think overall, Raymond Gallagher was just more involved. And it's a little bit unfortunate in many ways on Stephen Cluxton. Like, Stephen Cluxton done nothing wrong, but Raymond Gallagher was just more involved. He had to make more saves. And I think the reason why we have 4 Dublin defenders in there, in my opinion, reiterates that Dublin defensively this season were probably the best we've ever seen them. I think they were absolutely phenomenal. Stephen Cluxton very rarely had much to do, and when he did have things to do, to be fair, he done it very, very well. But I think Raymond Gallagher of Cavan, in my opinion, is definitely the right decision. Padraig Faulkner, right decision as well, absolutely. A lot of people saying Davy Byrne, but I think Faulkner for me gets in there without a shadow of a doubt. An exceptional year for Cavan. The halfback line is definitely the most interesting one for me, because I would certainly make a couple of changes here. So James McCarthy, John Small and Owen Merchant. I actually personally would have had Paddy Durcan and Owen McLaughlin in that team instead. Now, I'm not taking James McCarthy out. What I would actually do is put James McCarthy in the midfield alongside Brian Fenton and actually push Gallagher up instead of Niall Scully. So have Gallagher in the half forward line, and then have Fenton and McCarthy in midfield, and actually have Paddy Durcan in at number 5. I'd also have Owen McLaughlin in at 7 over Owen Merchant as well. And look, listen, getting back to Paddy Durcan, I think he's the most unlucky player, in my opinion, to miss out on not getting an All-Star, in my opinion. People forget he went off injured in the final. He done a fantastic job on Kieran Kilkenny in that game as well. Had an exceptional year overall, getting forward at times, contributing the attack, kicking points. Just a really, really all-out brilliant wing-back. The best wing-back in the GEA, in my opinion, last season. I thought he was absolutely exceptional. So the fact that he's missed out, I think is very, very harsh indeed. And I would have had Owen McLaughlin over Owen Merchant, in my opinion. Look, listen, as a Dublin fan myself, obviously I'm delighted to see Owen Merchant get in there, and I'm delighted to see some, many Dublin footballers get in there. But for me, I wouldn't have gone with Owen Merchant. I would have gone with McLaughlin. I think McLaughlin just a little bit better for me, getting forward. Contributed way more than Owen Merchant did. I think Owen Merchant defensively was a lot better than McLaughlin, but personally I would have gone with McLaughlin. I think with that one, it's really a coin toss between the two. You can go 50-50 either way. But personally, Owen McLaughlin for me would have got in ahead of Owen Merchant. And yeah, as I said before, I would have pushed Thomas Gallagher in instead of Niall Scully. Niall Scully for me, he's the unsung hero of the Dublin team, in my opinion. Doesn't quite get the credit he deserves. He's not an all-out scorer in terms of points or goals, but his defensive work is top-notch, drops into the midfield, supports the 2 midfielders brilliantly, and obviously links very well with the likes of Kieran Kilkenny, Con O'Callaghan, Dean Rocker, any of the Dublin forwards like Paddy Small, for example, that are on display. So I can understand why Niall Scully got the nod, but as I said before, I'd shuffle the team quite a little bit here, and actually, have James McCarthy in the midfield, Thomas Gallagher in ahead of Niall Scully, so that would actually allow Paddy Durkin and Owen McLaughlin to come into the team. The full forward line, I wouldn't make any changes at all. Cillian O'Connor, Conor Sweeney, Dean Rock, 3 exceptional forwards in my opinion. Seen a few people saying Dean Rock's inclusion was a little bit questionable, but personally for me, I think he gets in there without a shadow of a doubt. Really top class forward, had a brilliant year for Dublin, got the goal in the final, I think scored a goal against Meath as well. Done the simple things brilliantly, and that's the thing about Dean Rock. He's not a flashy forward, he's not like a Con O'Callaghan who'll cut inside and beat 2 or 3 players. He's very, he does the simple things brilliantly, and he's just a brilliant all-round forward in my opinion. And Conor Sweeney and Cillian O'Connor without doubt getting in there for me as well. And Footballer of the Year was Brian Fenton, and I don't think anyone can really have any complaints about Brian Fenton. For me, it was between Fenton and Cillian O'Connor without a shadow of a doubt. Conor Sweeney, I think definitely, for me, probably the 3rd best player in the country in my opinion. I know Kieran Kilkenny's kind of thereabouts, on the basis of 2020, but Cillian O'Connor and Brian Fenton, 2 exceptional footballers without doubt. Cillian O'Connor probably a little bit unlucky when you look at his score tally of what he racked up throughout the championship season. He's very unlucky not to get Footballer of the Year, but Brian Fenton, he's a generational talent. We might not see as good as a Gaelic footballer as him ever again. He's won 2 Footballer of the Year awards already. He's also never lost a championship game. He's won 6 All-Irelands. He's won 6 Leinsters. He's won 3 or 4 National League titles. I mean, he is absolutely outstanding, and he just does everything so brilliantly. The way he supports the attack, the way he can catch high balls, break up the midfield, the amount of ground he covers in a game as well. And he's just an exceptional footballer, and without doubt, for many players who are coming through at the moment who want to play in the midfield position, they'll be looking at Brian Fenton as the benchmark for many years to come. He could arguably be one of the best players to ever play for Dublin and ever play Gaelic football in my opinion, and I don't think anyone can have any arguments with that. So for me, I'm delighted he gets it. As a Dublin fan myself, I think Cillian O'Connor definitely a bit unlucky, but I think at the same time for me, I would have gone with Fenton over Cillian O'Connor. So congratulations to Brian Fenton. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll have a look at the hurling team of the year. So in goal was Nicky Quaid, Sean Finn, Dan Morrissey, Daithí Burke. In the full back line, the half back line was Dermot Burns, Tyg de Burka and Carl Hayes. Midfield, Jamie Barron and Tony Kelly. Gearóid Hegarty, Cian Lynch, Tom Morrissey made up the half forward line. Aaron Gallan, TJ Reid and Stephen Bennett made up the full forward line. So in total, you had 3 Waterford players in there. You had 9 Limerick players, 1 Galway player and 1 Kilkenny player. I'd make 2 changes to this team personally. If you've seen my hurling team of the year that I'd done, of course, earlier in 2021, done it around January or late December time. You can go ahead and have a look. I'll leave the link to my team of the years down below. I'd make 2 changes personally to this team. I would have had Calum Lyons over Dermot Burns. I would have actually pushed Tony Kelly into the forward line ahead of Cian Lynch and actually had William O'Donoghue in there instead. Now, for me, Dermot Burns was better in the final than Calum Lyons without doubt. Dermot Burns arguably man of the match in the final. I know he didn't get man of the match, but he was certainly in contention to win man of the match. But I think in the overall context of the season, I think Calum Lyons done more for Waterford than Dermot Burns. And look, listen, this is my opinion. I'm more what I love to see with wing backs, and maybe one of the reasons why I had Paddy Durkin in my football team of the year is because I love wing backs to get forward. I love wing backs that play the modern game, that can contribute with the attack, that can hit points, hit goals, and really just add another dimension to the sport that we wouldn't have seen 10-15 years ago. And I think the evolution of wing backs is exceptional. I think teams that use the wing backs to actually add an extra attacker will, in my opinion, go forward, will move forward and progress towards winning whatever they are essentially trying to achieve. So it is my personal bias probably why I would prefer Calum Lyons, because Calum Lyons is more of the flashier type of player. He's better at going forward, whereas Dermot Burns is the better defender, without doubt. So it depends what way you like hurling. What do you prefer? So I think Dermot Burns probably gets in there, but personally I would have had Calum Lyons. Cian Lynch had an exceptional year for Limerick, like no doubt about it. But I think William O'Donoghue was very unlucky to miss out. I think he had a very good year in the midfield. Again, in the final against Waterford, he gave a man of the match display in many ways. He was exceptional. Cian Lynch, for me, without doubt, one of the best hurlers in the country. But I would have had William O'Donoghue in there instead and actually pushed Tony Kelly up into the forward line. But yeah, other than that, I wouldn't make any changes. Aaron Gallant, TJ Reid, Stephen Bennett. Hurler of the year, of course, went to Gearóid Hegarty. For me, it was obviously between Gearóid Hegarty and Tony Kelly. I actually would have went with Tony Kelly personally. I think he was the better hurler in 2020 without doubt. I thought he was unbelievable. He was just a magician with the ball. He'd nutmeg a mermaid, that lad. I mean, he was exceptional, unbelievable at times. Tony Kelly, unbelievable hurler altogether. Gearóid Hegarty, he's definitely an exceptional talent as well. Still a very young lad as well. Got many more years in the tank. He'll probably win hurler of the year again at some point. He'll be one player that we look back at in many years to come as one of the best to do it. The amount of ground he covers is exceptional. It's not just his attacking output for me, it's his defence. When you look at Limerick play, a lot of the time they press a lot of the time on the opposition they play, and Gearóid Hegarty is the man that leads that press a lot of the time. He's the man who really gets in the faces of the likes of the Waterfords or the Clares or whoever they're playing, and I think they've caused a lot of turnovers in that area of the pitch because of it. And I think Gearóid Hegarty is second to none in doing so. So I think for me, it's between him or Tony Kelly, and you can it depends what way you look at it. Gearóid Hegarty's had more games, he's had more of an influence, he's won the All-Ireland, so you can understand why he gets it. But for me, if you're looking at the better hurler in the context of 2020, I would have gone with Tony Kelly personally. But I think all in all, Hegarty fully deserved of the award. Exceptional hurler, and I look forward to seeing him in 2021 without doubt. So of course, as always with these videos, we have a look at some Twitter reactions to the latest news or whatever is going on. So we'll have a look at some reactions here to the All-Stars, of course, to see what people are saying and see whether they agree, disagree, or what changes they would make to the team. So John Egan says here, just saw the best halfback in the country, didn't get an all-star, yet a midfielder and cornerback got in the halfback line. And yeah, look, listen, I said it in my opinion, I think the best wing-back in my opinion in 2020 was Paddy Durcan. Exceptional footballer, getting forward. And yeah, look, listen, James McCarthy, he does play at wing-back himself at times, so it's not like he's played there many a times for Dublin before, so it's not like he's necessarily out of position. But for me, I would have had Paddy Durcan in there, push James McCarthy into the midfield, and then push Thomas Galligan in ahead of Niall Scully. In my opinion, they were the changes I would have made. Anto Friel says Paddy Durcan robbed by an all-star. Enda McGrearty says congrats to Oisín and Killian. Paddy Durcan, the unlucky player for me. Thomas McCarthy says Calum Lyons and Will O'Donoghue unlucky to miss out on All-Stars. So yeah, definitely Calum Lyons, definitely for me the more unlucky of the two, but I think William O'Donoghue for me should have definitely got in there. Ian O'Reilly says over the moon for Dublin, most underrated player. He takes the hit for his team. The job he does for us is outstanding. Every great team needs a John Small first All-Star. All in all, what an exceptional year for John Small. He brought that form that he had with Ballymun Kickhams, of course winning the club championship, the Dublin Club Championship, of course in the summer of 2020, brought that form into the Dublin team in 2021, and he's always been an unsung hero for Dublin without doubt. He's not always been in the team, there's sometimes been players in there ahead of him, but I think all in all, John Small, an exceptional year altogether. I think the likes of Michael Fitzsimons and John Small maybe get overlooked sometimes in terms of Dublin defenders. I think people prefer the likes of your Jack McCaffreys and your forward-thinking players and don't appreciate the defensive-based players. And yeah, John Small, outstanding year for Dublin. Without doubt, in the next couple of years, he's going to be essential for that Dublin team. And like what I was saying before, when you look at how good Dublin were defensively in 2020, maybe one of the best defensive teams in winning an All-Ireland, whilst still being able to, contribute going forward, whilst still being able to kick big totals. So they weren't just focused on defence, like what some previous All-Ireland winning teams would have done. They were still able to kick, high numbers going forward. This is from Michael Cook. So he says Sean Finn becomes the third ever Limerick man to win 3 All-Stars on the trot, following in the footsteps of Gary Kirby 1996 and Pat Hartigan 1973. Hartigan went on to win 5 on the trot in 1975. yeah, Sean Finn, what a player he is, of course, for Limerick. Done an exceptional job on that final, of course, going up against the likes of Stephen Bennett and whatnot in that Waterford forward line. And when you look at some of the players he's had to come up against as well, coming up against a tight, very good Clare team, of course, in the first game in the Munster Championship, going up against Tipperary, of course, who were the current All-Ireland champions. So Sean Finn, without doubt, gets in there. Exceptional talent, and yeah, well deserved of his third All-Star. This is from Paul Bellew. So he says, congrats to Daithí Burke on his 5th All-Star, an outstanding achievement, joins an elite group in Galway GAA as outlined by Sean Walsh in last year's club final programme. Yeah, completely agree with Paul on this occasion. I think Daithí Burke, for me, one of the best defenders in the game in hurling. One of the most impressive things for Daithí Burke for me was actually when Galway played Tipperary, and he was going up against Shamie Callanan, and Shamie Callanan, tore Daithí Burke apart in the opening 5 to 10 minutes, got a goal. But one of the most impressive things for any defender in any sport, in my opinion, is if you're able to adapt to the player you're going up against and adapt to your surroundings and the game that you're playing in. And Daithí Burke done that. He was able to make just sudden little changes, got more in front of Shamie Callanan and really took Shamie Callanan out of the game. And when you think about a lot of defenders in hurling and in Gaelic football that go through adversity, that go through difficulty in matches, the fact that he was able to respond to that in such a high pressure moment was exceptional. And for me, Daithí Burke without doubt gets in there. You could have looked at a lot of players really who could have been in contention for Hurler of the Year, and if Galway had have went on maybe to win the All-Ireland, and if they had done better than what they had done in 2020, maybe Daithí Burke would have got on there, and maybe they would have. Maybe Daithí Burke would have won Hurler of the Year. Who knows? But without doubt, gets in there. His 5th All-Star, and who knows? He might even get a 6th or 7th at some point as well. Shane Brophy says, congrats to Conor Sweeney. Becomes the 3rd player joining Declan Brown and Michael Quinlivan in being selected as a GAA Football All-Star. Yeah, absolutely. Conor Sweeney, for me in 2020, the 3rd best player in the country. Tied maybe with Kieran Kilkenny. You could arguably say Kieran Kilkenny probably had a better year than Conor Sweeney. I mean, 2 different players in many ways, and probably a debate for a different day. But I think for me, what a year Conor Sweeney had, and the fact that you look at Declan Brown, Michael Quinlivan, Declan Brown, one of the best players to never win an All-Ireland, in my opinion. Michael Quinlivan could easily go on to win another All-Star, and Conor Sweeney could as well, even in the game versus Mayo, where they were beaten by, quite a high margin, he was still able to get a goal, he was still able to contribute, he was still part of it, and he was still able to really do his best work. And in the Cork game, he scored some brilliant points, and even at times as well, he was even saying, how much he enjoyed playing, how much he loved it. And for me, Conor Sweeney gets in there without a doubt. This is from Cahar O'Kane. He says, looked in detail yesterday at the 10 games played by Raymond Galligan and Stephen Cluxton to settle the debate. I think it's fair to say the All-Stars committee got it right. Article below. So yeah, this is the article Cahar O'Kane put up here, of course. So looking at the kickouts of Stephen Cluxton, Raymond Galligan, so we can see there the amount of kickouts taken by either player, kickouts won, kickouts lost, kickouts hopped, etc, etc. And I think the defining point here for me is, as you can see, that Stephen Cluxton won 79% of his kickouts, of his 81 kickouts, so he actually won more kickouts in terms of a percentage basis than Raymond Galligan. But the difference for me was that Raymond Galligan was just more involved, he just had more to do. He won 79 kickouts compared to 64, which for me, you look at goals conceded. So again, obviously Raymond Galligan conceded 3 more goals, but made 7 saves to 1. Also scored a point as well, which of course was the winner against Monaghan. Let's not forget that as well. So yeah, Raymond Galligan for me gets in there, and it's no slight on Stephen Cluxton. We all know, for me, Stephen Cluxton is the best goalkeeper in the GAA, without doubt, and arguably one of the best goalkeepers to ever play Gaelic football at all, and one of the best players to ever play Gaelic football, full stop. But on the basis of 2020, I don't think anyone can argue Raymond Galligan gets in there ahead of Stephen Cluxton, in my opinion. But anyway, lads, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. I do hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know down in the comments below, what did you think of the All-Star Awards? What did you think of Footballer of the Year, Hurler of the Year? Of course, Young Footballer of the Year and Young Hurler of the Year, I can't forget mentioning them, of course. Young Footballer of the Year was Oisin Mullen. Young Hurler of the Year was Owen Cody. No arguments for me on either basis. Young Footballer of the Year in Oisin Mullen, exceptional. What a talent he will be. And you look at the wide list of young Mayo lads that are coming through at the moment. I think you could have looked at a number of Mayo players. Tommy Conroy as well. Owen McLaughlin could have easily been in there as well. But I think all in all, I think Oisin Mullen played every game in the championship for Mayo and was exceptional. The fact that he actually played in the under 20 Connacht final against Galway earlier in the year and then came into the senior setup, an exceptional talent and gets in without a doubt. But anyway, we'll wrap it up here. Leave a like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video.